Hello, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Carolina Chavez. I'm broadcasting live from Miami. This is Responsible Fashion News, and today is Wednesday, June 3rd of 2020. Um, Today we're going to speak about what's going on around the country in the United States. On May 25th, George Perry Floyd was he was a member of the African American community, and he was killed in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by the hands of a police officer. So I've been very vocal about this. The United States is a great country without a doubt, but there are some circumstances that we sometimes fail probably to see or to remember because we don't belong, or they don't belong to our immediate circle. So one of these things is happening right now. There's protests all over the country and also outside of the United States because this circumstance keeps happening. Police brutality keeps being an ongoing problem in our society, and even if we think or we don't belong to this side of the population, it is still affecting all of us for so many reasons. But right now we're back again into a curfew. There's protests all over the place. So I wrote yesterday on social media that we do need to take action. We do need to become active citizens, activists, and the first step it is to learn, to educate ourselves more about these and many other circumstances, like what we always speak about, which is the fashion industry. Because if we don't know how things really work, then how are we going to be able to change? And I think we're crying right now for change. Everybody, in so many aspects right now. Obviously, the attention is on the Black community, which is a big part of this country and many others. And they have endured so much during centuries that it is hard for us to feel. I mean, we do empathize, but really deeply we don't understand what this community has been going through for years and years and years. So what I wrote yesterday is that we need to we need to take action. We need to at least, or beginning with educating ourselves. We've been speaking about when it was International Women's Day, about the fight of many women throughout the years for us to have a right to vote, for us women to have equal opportunities, and we have a right to vote. And right now we need to exercise it, but not just going to vote for one party or the other, but to understand legislation and help minorities with our vote, even if we don't feel that this or that thing affect us in a more direct way. We can affect a lot of change if we know about legislation a lot more than we do right now. At least I don't know enough. So we need to get on top of it, because we want change. We cry and we fight for these things when they happen on social media, but are we really taking a stance out of social media? Are we really becoming these kind of citizens that our country needs? And I think this is all over the place, all over the world, that we are demanding change. But how are we demanding change? Are we really knowledgeable of what we need and how we can achieve things to make our societies better, right? So The fashion industry has been sometimes quiet about these controversial topics because sometimes it's not in their best interest to take a side, right? But since a while ago, we've seen that more and more brands take a stand and they voice their opinions, and when they do this, they create a stronger community among their customers, because customers, as we spoke about recently, we are looking for companies that align with our ways and our views, and this is good for the sustainable fashion community, because when as consumers we're more educated, we make better choices. So right now, some players, big players in the industry, are taking a stand in controversial topics like police brutality and racial injustice. Remember when we have an example, it was a few years ago when Colin Kaepernick started kneeling down and during the national anthem in the NFL games. Nike signed him, and this was huge and caused a lot of controversy because not everybody was, approving of that stance. He actually was protesting police brutality and racial inequalities in the United States. So Nike betted on the controversy. They knew it was going to happen, but at the end of the day, it was going to be something that would put the brand, I don't want to say the right place, but with a very strong stand, right, where they needed to be at that moment. So now Colin Kaepernick has set up a fundraiser to pay for the defense of any Minneapolis protesters who may be in need of legal assistance. In Minneapolis is where this ongoing protest originated. So he's helping all the protesters. His initiative is called Know Your Rights Camp, and it's a legal defense team that has identified the best defense lawyers nationwide to provide legal resources for those who need. Many of these protesters are being arrested, and they have no means to get out of the situation they got themselves into. So Colin Kaepernick is funding that. So now on Nike, they launched a campaign that says "Don't do it." They usually have the check mark that says "Do it." Right now is "Don't do it," and in solidarity with Nike, Adidas, which is probably his biggest competitor, they retweeted this campaign from Nike with a message saying, "Together is how we move forward. Together is how we make change." This is very significant because they are rivals, the strongest rival to each other, and to come together in this, it's very significant for the industry, but also for the communities that really need the support right now. Nike's campaign reads, "Don't turn your back on racism. Don't accept innocent lives being taken from us. Don't make any more excuses. Don't think this doesn't affect you." So the words are written in white with a black background, and it's getting a lot of attention. So this opens, these campaigns and this collaboration between giants open the door for other companies to approach this circumstance and take a stand, especially now because we are in a year of elections, and the conversation is just going to get more political. So these, other companies seeing that this is happening, they are encouraged to speak out, right, to support. It's interesting to see that, Nike and Adidas are such big rivals because they are competing to sign the the most successful sports star athletes, and it says that the combined marketing spending between the two companies may hit as much as 10 billion on this fiscal year. So yeah, that's how it is. On the note of companies approaching this, ignoring what's going on may put them in a position of seeming irrelevant to the community, which is what they least want, and which is what the community wants more, to know that their voices are being heard, and that, you know, they're receiving the support they need in so many ways. So but when companies talk about these things, you know, we need to be careful also as consumers, that they're not just talking about it, as we've been speaking, for marketing purposes. You know, they have to really take this with very much a lot of care, so they don't fall into the greenwashing, and they just, you know, they jump on the train of whatever's going on right now, and then they say their things and let's move on to the next thing. No, right now they really need to be careful, because this, as many other things, but this is a very delicate thing going on. So we also have some celebrities and personalities that have expressed support for this cause. Jane Fonda, among others, is supporting a call to defund the police and give this money to Black communities. I read yesterday, I don't have the details, but because it's not what pertains us, but in the United States, the police has so much funding that it's a little bit unfair when you see they have all this power over these extra poor communities, you know, when a lot of this money could go towards education, towards equal rights, towards helping students getting to universities when they usually wouldn't have an opportunity because of the color of their skin. So, you know, instead of arming police as much as they are, maybe, you know, supporting much more all of these minorities, all of these very disadvantaged communities. We have also Catherine Hamnett. She's an English fashion designer, best known for her political t-shirts and her ethical business philosophy. She is calling on the vetting and monitoring on the police force. She's in England. Elizabeth Klein, a New York-based author, journalist, and expert on consumer culture, fast fashion, sustainability, and labor rights, she wrote yesterday, I learned that New York City Council will vote on 2 pieces of legislation aimed at increasing transparency and accountability at the New York Police Department. Also, Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue since 1988 and the artistic director of Condé Nast, she was very vocal also about the President of the United States. I won't repeat her words, but you can find on Instagram. She wrote, we should understand that the violence against Black people in this country, including appalling murders of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, Breonna Taylor in Kentucky, and George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, is a shared national tragedy, one we all need to reckon with. The need for change should fall especially on those of us who enjoy incredible privileges. We need to listen and learn and take action to ensure social justice and basic human rights for people of color in this country. Also, Chanel denounces racism and stands in solidarity and empathy with those devastated by the tragic loss of lives. And they write, alongside our continued commitment to furthering diversity and equality of opportunity within Chanel, we are expanding our reach to foster these values within the communities where we live and work. So the support has been felt all across the board. Business of Fashion, this publication online, the London College of Fashion, Camera Moda in Italy, Fridays for Future in Mexico. They wrote yesterday, there is no climate justice without social justice. I wrote it on my title. I read this repeatedly yesterday, and it's it is absolutely the truth. We have been speaking about the rights of garment workers. It's social injustice. There has to be a balance. There's no way we can fix all this broken system if we don't start with the people. Right now, we're talking about the Black community. We've been speaking about garment workers. The very base of the society is always the one that's more affected, and us in more privileged situations need to understand, to know much more of what really is going on, which is usually hidden under a label of everything is cool, of consumerism, of capitalism, of many things. But there's a much deeper problem. So also the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres wrote yesterday, in every society, diversity is a richness, never a threat. Racism is an abhorrence that we must all reject. Also, Fashion for Good, you can find it. I suggest you find it look for it on Instagram. They've been sharing many resources where we can learn about racism, where we can donate, where we can, just support other businesses that belong to this community. And also we have some brands that are supporting the cause, like ASOS. They announced recently that they will make a donation to a relevant organization in the coming days. They wrote, "We're constantly working on ways to support positive change and will continue to give a voice to important conversations today and always." Also, Fabletics, which is the brand of Kate Hudson, it's an athletic wear label. She said on Saturday that they would donate $50,000 to the American Civil Liberties Union to go toward the fight for racial justice and immediate change. Gap also revealed on Sunday that they're going to donate $250,000 to support the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and Embrace Race, to fight for equal rights. FILA also announced that they will donate $100,000 to Black Lives Matter, encouraging followers to take the necessary steps alongside FILA for a more equal and just tomorrow. Sarah Flint, which is one of Meghan Markle's favorite brands, she's a footwear designer, announced that they will begin making monthly contributions to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, to their legal defense fund, as well as supporting other organizations that fight for inequality. Another company that announced a donation is UGG to the American Civil Liberties Union. So as you see, the support has been expressed all over. We really need to get involved in whatever way we can, whatever way suits us, because not all of us have what it takes to go out and protest, and not all of us have the means to donate money probably, but we can learn about legislation, and we can vote, and we can inform ourselves, educate ourselves much more on all of these issues that are affecting our day by day. So I don't know if you're familiar, but this protest originated in Minneapolis, and they Target, right? So the headquarters of Target are in Minneapolis. Just 6 days ago, the locals explained the reasoning behind why they're keen on the chain on social media, which includes a hiring discrimination lawsuit, and they have a history of funding and supporting local police. So this obviously creates a lot of controversy and has created a lot of controversy since the years, because the poor black community feels targeted, of course, feels they are like a military state, right? The police on top of them all the time. There is crime, so that's why, it's complex, because whose side do we listen to, right? There's crime, these are dangerous areas, so the police is being funded for that, but then black community is targeted, right? It's not the white community, it's not the other, but the black community. Of course, these enraged people, we're all seeing it now, the rage. This is not new. Whatever they're expressing right now and whatever's, they're protesting, this is not new. This is what we're seeing is the trauma that this community has gone through since so long ago. So also in 2004, for example, Target donated $300,000 to the police department to set up surveillance cameras around the area throughout the downtown Minneapolis. And in 2015, Target settled a $2.8 hiring discrimination complaint filed by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They claimed that the retailer had used employee assessments that disproportionately weeded out applicants based on race, gender, and their ability. We reported recently that Target is also on the blacklist of retailers that haven't paid factory workers, the textile factories in Bangladesh and other places in Asia. So as far as I was concerned, they were also on the blacklist. They buy huge amounts of textile from the other side of the world. But also we have the fact that when Target closes their doors, there's many employees that are without a place to go to work again. Well, no, I think Target didn't close, but this whole pandemic has affected us in so many ways. So just in one store that they closed in this city, they have 200 employees. So imagine they closed two stores in the city, and then in the whole state 30-something stores, 32. So it's complicated to take a stand if we really don't have enough information, because of course I don't think violence should be the way, but this is a result of so many years of injustice. But then the right to express themselves and the right to protest, but destroying and leaving a lot of people without their jobs and their needs and etc. These Target stores are their operation is built to help low-income communities because their products are very, very cheap. So for the communities around, this is harmful too, to have all these stores closed. That's one of the reasons many of these Walmarts and Targets remained open during the pandemic, because they do help the community around them. So on this note, and to finish, I just want to invite you. I know I am guilty of not knowing enough, so I don't want to say I do support, don't take me wrong, I do support 100%, but I really don't know much of the circumstances. So I invite all of you, beginning with me, to get more engaged, to learn more about all of these issues, so we can really support. If we don't have the means to donate, we can read about. If we don't have the means to go out, protest, we can support local businesses, even liking, sharing, or reading about what other people are doing, what other communities are doing in general, okay? Right now, it's a time to support the Black community. Yesterday there was a Blackout Tuesday hashtag, and many people were sharing the Black Lives Matter hashtag, but this hashtag helps activists and protesters to track whatever's going on around the country. So there was a petition to not share if we didn't have information to share, that to not use the Black Lives Matter hashtag, because it just filled social media with little squares, black squares, without any kind of information. So yeah, yesterday it was asked for people not to share with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. So anyways, let's just educate ourselves more, and please vote. I have one more news, which is for locals. This is good news. The Museum of Sustainability is going to launch their second edition starting tomorrow, June 4th, from 12 to 9 at the Citadel. So bring headphones for an interactive experience. Look for them, Pivot in Instagram. This is a Museum of Sustainability. They group brands that are doing sustainable fashion around the area. So this is gonna be fun, okay? Hopefully you can join if you're around, starting tomorrow from 12 to 9. So I will be seeing you next week in English at 1 p.m. in Spanish at 12. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon, okay?